The San Juan Islands, located off the northwest coast of Washington State, offer some awesome kayaking adventures as well as some epic whale watching encounters. These islands are a great place to visit, but did you know a misinterpretation of the 1846 Oregon Treaty led to a boundary dispute between Canada and the U.S.? Join us on our adventure as we explore both the English camp and the American camp and discuss the events which led up to the Pig War of 1859. Hi, welcome to the channel and our traveling adventures. We begin this adventure exploring the English camp, which is located on the north end of the island overlooking Garrison Bay. The trail has two paths. You could go directly to the parade grounds or walk up a hill to the officers' quarter overlook. We chose the officers' quarter overlook, which I'm glad we did. It gave us a magnificent view of the English garden about halfway through the walk. Once taking in the sights, we continued up the hill to where the officers' quarters once stood. The walk was fairly easy and enjoyable. The path split along the way, so we turned right. Since that path was a little bit more worn, we assumed this is where everybody else went. By now, you are probably wondering about that land dispute I mentioned in the intro. Well, in June of 1846, the Treaty of Oregon was signed, setting the boundary of Canada and the U.S. along the 49th parallel, from the Rocky Mountains to the Middle Channel, which separates the U.S. continent from Vancouver's island, then south through that channel to the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and west to the Pacific Ocean. The problem arose that there were two different channels separating the U.S. continent from Vancouver's island: the Haro Strait, nearest Vancouver Island, and the Rosario Strait, nearer the mainland. And since both these countries claimed it was the other strait in the treaty referred to, neither country wanted to give up the land, so both countries sent soldiers to the island. British subjects and American citizens slowly started moving to these islands as tensions of ownership of the island increased over the next 13 years. Crisis came on June 15, 1859, when Lyman Cutler, an American, shot and killed the British Army's company pig, which he claimed was rooting in his garden. American Civil War halted negotiations of a resolution, and a joint occupation of the islands lasted another 12 years. On October 21, 1872, a commission led by Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany ruled in favor of the United States, establishing the boundary line through the Haro Strait. Thus, the San Juan Islands became part of America, and the final boundary between Canada and the United States was set. Peace had finally come to the 49th parallel, and San Juan Island would be long remembered for the war in which the only casualty was a pig.
There's a blockhouse that we just saw. And so there's multiple other structures that aren't here. A few of them look like they're still remaining. Like that looks like it's probably the storehouse. Yep, I was right. That was the storehouse here. It's locked up. Let's go see what this one was.
After the British soldiers left, the Crook family purchased the site from the U.S. government and occupied several of the structures for more than 30 years.
Hospital. So this was the hospital here. I can't really see inside too well, especially with the reflection of the window. Looks like there's a room there with tacky wallpaper. Oh wait, you can go in this one, maybe. Nope, it's locked.
After seeing the first three structures locked, we managed to find the fourth with its door open.
And the United States became rivals over control of the Oregon country.
Now, with seeing most of what was at the English camp, Our adventure would take us over to the American camp, which was located on the south side of the island.
Okay, on this site, nothing happened. Well, now we're on the American camp. They're doing some construction on the visitor center, so we can't go inside there. But let's go check out the American camp. The disputed boundary. So here's what the American camp looked like. I don't quite have the same view.
I'm George Pickett. This
Hi,
is my
George.
headquarters. Welcome to Camp Pickett, named after me.
Yes.
It was the third of a little camp on this island. The first camp was down over in Griffin Bay, with just some tents when we first landed. And it looked like a good place to put up the tents, although when a British warship came up and pointed all their cannons in that direction, we realized that's not a good place to be. So we moved up the hill this way and eventually came up into here. Our cannons were going to be on top of the redoubt, which is right up there.
Okay.
From there, you get a good view of Griffin Bay, where the British base was, and also the sound over this way, so they could fire in each direction. And that was the idea. We didn't actually fire at anybody. In fact, not all of the guns. It was supposed to be 8 big guns up there. We didn't even finish. There was excavated, but the guns weren't planted there because they came to a truce in the meantime. Well, anyway, this house is a cookie cutter house that the Army builds. If you go to all the little forts of that era across the Southwest, you'll see still these same houses. They were, there was a blueprint out of a book, and they said, build it like this. This house actually came from Bellingham. They took part of it apart and then floated it up here on a raft and put it here. It's been here ever since.
Oh.
So maybe 135 years now. When the pig war was over, the Army was going to abandon the camp, and they auctioned off the land, and a farmer bought it and lived in this house as his house for 3 generations. Not a very big house. And he farmed this area, and he had sheep over there and such like that. He also had quite a few buildings. There was a dozen buildings out in here like this. Some of them in not good repair. Some of them were probably torn down, and but some of them were sold off. He sold off in 1878 this building over here. And we don't know how much he sold it for, but it wasn't much. But they put it on a sled, drug it down to the beach, put it on a raft, and floated it to Friday Harbor. And it sat there for 130 years on the corner of, I can't remember which corner, but right downtown. And only in the last number of years did the Park Service buy it back. It's going to be quarters for other officers. The place was okay if you didn't have a family. But if you had a family, it could be a little tight.
Yeah.
I'll show you. Well, this is my office, my living room. Everything that was done in the camp was done in this room. And that back in there is my bedroom, and I bet you might even got a closet half that way. So this is the bedroom. You could put a good bed in there, and maybe a trunk, and that would be about it. So anyway, because I'm the captain, I get a fireplace in my room. And next door, Lieutenant Forsyth, who was a big guy, he was.
Oh my goodness, so tiny.
This, I didn't know about that, but you can see how, because they had to block off the back of the fireplace, this is even smaller.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
And
Wow.
he was, I don't know how tall he was, but probably 5'11" or maybe even 6 feet, but that is not even 6 feet long. He must have crunched a little bit like that. And you can see what the camp looked like at its height. We had a blockhouse like the British did, almost exactly the same. And this is the house we're in right here. But all these other places were at one time here. But Yeah, because of the dam. So,
Oh wow. Quite a view. Okay. So this is the laundresses. She would do the laundry for all the soldiers. She got paid, according to one of the park guides, she got paid better than the soldiers did. Unfortunately, they're still in the restoration process, so this building's not quite set up how it would have been. Although you can see that inside they had a chimney to keep it warm. That building to the left was just brought back recently. I don't know what their plans are for that building. The building to the right was the officers' quarters we were just in. And after all the land and buildings were sold, when the soldiers left, some farmer bought that building and all the acreage here and lived in it for many years.